Another way we're going to make shapes is to begin with something fairly complex and then mask out a certain section and paint the negative space around it. But first, I'm going to make this even more complicated. I'm going to put a little neutral opaque paint down. This is just a technique. You can try it if you like. Okay, I'm brayering it out to get a really thin, veiled coat of paint. There. Now I'm taking a plastic pipette, water, and I'm going to make some drips with the pipette. So that I'm going to get these vertical drips. Let that sit for just a moment. And then with a clean paper towel, I'm going to blot the drips. So you get this sort of veiled layer with these sort of subtle vertical lines. One way to paint in the negative shape is to cut out the positive shape. I'm just using these orb shapes that are my sort of default mode here. You can use whatever shape you like, but I urge you not to get it too complicated. Okay. So I can use that mask, and then here I'm using a white mixed with a little bit of neutral, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of gray. There, and then I get a fairly hard edge shape there. And then I can paint out as much or as little of the remaining negative space as I want. And I can lift some of that. Okay. Another way to do sort of the same thing is just to do it by eye. Without the paper mask. And then you can decide how you want these inner edges to be. Do you want them, here there's just a little roughness there, I could keep that there. Or I could really make it a very sharp edge. So make a decision about that. Don't let it just be the way it comes out the first time by default. So then this edge, the initial way this was a pretty sharp edge. If I wanted to make it a little rougher, then I could go in and deliberately do that. So the point here is to make decisions about how those edges are. Another way to do a shape in this mode is to take a handmade stencil and then to remove the upper layer of paint using alcohol. I use alcohol wipes just because they're very convenient, but you can also use a paper towel that is soaked with a little rubbing alcohol. There, and then we have a shape. So once I have these shapes and this whole sort of negative space painted in this white and neutral, I suggest then that you go back in and vary some of the opacity like we were doing in previous lessons, so that it's not all just one uniform veil, but you can make decisions about how to vary it. So in the end, you want this to read as shapes and a ground.